First Sunday of Lent. Now there are three main aspects of Lent that I'm sure we all know. The first is fasting, the second is almsgiving, and the third is prayer. If you were here on Ash Wednesday Masses, you heard me talk about all the activities. We just kicked it off with an amazing Awaken service. The church was full and it was dynamic and powerful. And for those who were there can attest to it. It's a beautiful way of praising the Lord because praise is a form of prayer. And it was very nice and a great way to kick off the Lenten season. And of course, you've already experienced some abstinence and fasting, both in Ash Wednesday and, of course, for every Friday during the Lenten season, and that you're encouraged to give some things up. And finally, so between fasting, prayer, and almsgiving, but I want to challenge you to look at it a little bit differently this Lenten season. What I want you to do is interconnect your Lent. I'll repeat that, interconnect your Lent, because when we think of fasting, almsgiving, and prayer, it's very, very easy to think of them as three separate things. Well, let me give you an idea as to how to interconnect your Lent. Fasting, abstaining from something. This particular Lent, I fully intend to, with all the grace of God, to abstain from things with a lot of sugar in it. I happen to love pie, and I like my dark chocolates and things like that I enjoy. By the way, keep that in mind for Easter, Not now, Easter. So I do like those things, I really do. Maybe too much. But what I'm doing, though, I'm not just taking that in isolation. I'm actually figuring out what I would pay in the course of these 40 days for the blueberry pie I like or the dark chocolates I like. And then I'm going to total that up because it's obviously money I'm not going to be spending. But I'm not just going to see that as a financial windfall. I'm going to take that money and I'm going to connect it to almsgiving. My sister Michelle passed away 15 years ago from lupus. She battled lupus for years. And so I have made it a point every Christmas to make a donation to the American Lupus Society, but this will be an additional donation from the money that I saved from abstaining. And then every day through the 40 days of Lent, I'm going to offer a prayer in my personal prayer life for all those people who suffer with lupus and to pray that they find a cure. Thus, I've connected what I'm fasting from to what I'm going to give for, and then connected that to my prayer life. I've interconnected it. And now they're not just isolated instances, but it becomes a whole. And I bet you whatever you're giving up from, let's say, for example, you're abstaining from cigarettes. Well, you're going to save a lot more money than I'm going to say, because I know cigarettes are expensive. They keep raising the tax. But let's say you gave that up, and then you total the amount of money you're saving over the 40 days. Well, then you can take that money and you can donate it to, for example, the American Cancer Society. So they find a cure for cancer, specifically lung cancer and mouth cancer and all things that smoking is directly attributed to. And then you can add to your prayer life people who suffer from those cancers so that you've interconnected it. That's another idea. And let's say you're a young person, and you really don't have, so you're going to abstain from, let's say, doing more than 1 hour a night on video games. All right? So you're abstaining from that. Now, that's not a monetary thing, but hear me out. That frees up your time. You'll have more time, right? So you take that time and you say, well, what can I do around the house and give my parents a heart attack when they see it done without having to ask? Whether it's take out the garbage or vacuum the carpet or shovel the walk or whatever it is. then you take that time and you do some good works for it. Or maybe a neighbor who's shut in, or maybe a grandparent, would appreciate it, whoever you chose to do it. And then in the course of the 40 days, say a little prayer for them. Whether you say a little prayer for your parents or for your neighbor who's ill or your grandparent. So then you've interconnected what you're giving up to something that can help others, almsgiving, and then connect it to prayer. So that's my challenge for you in these 40 days. Interconnect your Lent, because if you're able to interconnect it that way, it no longer becomes just isolated things that we do, but you see your Christian life in a much more holistic way, a much more interconnected way. And that's a much better way in the course of these 40 days to appreciate what God's trying to do to your life, to see the Spirit alive in your life, the Spirit alive in others that you're helping and that you're praying for, and lead you a little bit closer in these 40 days to the heavenly kingdom.